A wise man once said, never forgive and forget. He said, forgive but never forget, because those who forgive and forget are likely to repeat the same mistakes again. The West and America is absolutely confused with the relationship between Russia, China, and India. The recent SU summit in China confirms that these guys, their bond is inseparable. Nobody can separate their bond. In fact, while the Western America continue to impose sanctions on India and China, these guys continue to trade with the Russians despite Western and American threats. I'm going to give you guys an in-depth historical analysis of the bond between Russia, China, and India. Remember in the beginning of this video, I told you guys that a wise man once said, forgive but never forget. The Indians has forgiven the Western America, but they've not forgotten what they did to them. They've not forgotten the role that the Russians played during their most difficult years in geopolitics. Let's start from India. To our regular viewers, don't forget to hit on the like button, and if you're a new viewer, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. In 1971, India was at war with Bangladesh and Pakistan. The British and the Americans supported Bangladesh and Pakistan. In fact, they surrounded India with their warships and submarines, threatening to destroy India completely. They slept and woke up one day. The Soviet Union surrounded India with their warships and submarines, threatening any country who touches India that they are going to retaliate in a harsh manner. They told the whole world that whoever touches India, you have touched the Soviet Union. They deterred the West and America from destroying India. India has not forgotten this. India still remember what the Western America did to them against Bangladesh and Pakistan. They supported Bangladesh and Pakistan to destroy India completely. They are still fighting. Guys, today is my birthday. Regardless today be my birthday, I have to bring you guys the update. Happy birthday to me. Have you heard about India Rakesh Sharma? Yes. The Indians were able to go to space because of the Soviet Union support. In 1984, the Soviet Union supported the Indians to go to space. They helped them to set up factories. India became Russia's biggest partner in terms of military and arms supply. The Western America were not ready to support India militarily. It was rather the Russians who supported India militarily by supplying them arms. So these guys, their relationship didn't start today. The Indians still remember. They know that yes, you can be in bed with the Western America, but these guys cannot be trusted. So the Indians don't trust the Western America. Absolutely, they don't trust them. They know what they are capable of doing. Despite Russia being India's biggest defense supplier, the Russians were not selfish. They helped the Indians set up defense industry to produce their own weapons. So most of India's defense weapons that they produce came from the Soviet Union. It was the Soviet Union who built the foundation for them to become independent, to become who they are today. It is true that India has not yet gotten to where they are supposed to be. India today is just like Africa. They are many. In fact, these guys over 1.4 billion. And yet they are lacking behind in some, aspects. But India, whoever they are today, thanks to the Russians for making them who they are today. Let's talk about China. China is a superpower today thanks to Russia. Russia made China's superpower status possible. Are you aware of that? Today in China, we are all aware that China, they only have one political party, which is the Communist Party of China. And why did communism start? Communism started from Russia. Mao decided to copy the Russian style of governance, and it worked for China. During China's difficult years, when food to even eat was difficult for them, it was the Russians who supplied them with food, who supplied them with arms to fight against the West. So China still remembers this. When the West were bent on destroying China completely, it was the Soviet Union who supported China. Only the Soviet Union supported China. Even in the Korea War, the Soviet Union decided to support the Chinese to defeat the Western America in the Korea War. So these guys are not dumb. They are very smart. They still remember what they did for them. The whole China economic development was started by the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union supported the Chinese economically, massive building of schools, hospitals, roads, a whole lot. During the Cold War, the West were putting pressure on India and China for them to pick side. But strategically, the Indians and Chinese decided to join the non-aligned movement. They neither support West or East. But in reality, the Chinese and the Indians were supporting the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union never pressured India and China to pick side. It was not only India and China who were in the non-aligned movement. Many African countries, or almost all African countries, were part of the non-aligned movement. Ghana, Congo DRC, Guinea-Conakry, they were all part of the non-aligned movement. And the Russians had no problem. Because there were also countries who were part of the non-aligned movement who were supporting the West. But the USSR never had problems with them. But the West and America had problems with India and China for joining the non-aligned movement, but behind closed doors, they were supporting the Russians. Their relationship is a very tricky relationship. These guys, their relationship is strategic. Because you see, India and China, these guys, they have their own form of disagreement. But when it comes to multipolar world, they all agree that we all have to support the multipolar agenda, whereby we are not controlled by the West. They all support that agenda. And that is exactly what the Russians also stand for. It's a very tricky relationship. When you look at India, yes, as I said, they have problems with the Chinese. The Russians and the Chinese are also close partners. So India is kind of like, they are in the middle a bit. So the West is trying to exploit this weakness or this tricky relationship between India and China and cause confusion between them. That is why many Western diplomats continue to push this propaganda agenda that the Chinese are India's biggest enemy. So the Indians shouldn't support them. But the Indians are very smart. They can read. They know exactly how the Western America can all of a sudden become dangerous to them. Let me read this for you guys about India and Russia. The Soviet Union helped India industrialize, modernize its military, and gain international support during the Cold War. Today, Russia remains a key defense and energy partner while both nations continue to balance their ties with the West and China. This is a fact. I've been forgotten about the energy part. You see, even the energy part, which is, this oil and gas that the Indians are buying from the Russians, it is also helping the Indians because they are buying it at a discount price. If they are to buy it from other countries, it is probably going to be higher than the price they are getting from the Russians. So why would they go and buy something at a higher price when they are getting the same value from the Russians at a very cheaper rate? It doesn't make sense. So, as much as the West will continue to blame the Indians, this relationship is also benefiting the Indians. It's not just benefiting the Russians. They continue to make the whole thing look like the relationship between India and Russia is only benefiting the Russians. No, both sides are benefiting. And that is what they stand for, multipolar world. A world whereby somebody don't dictate to another country what they should do. It doesn't make any sense. And this is why BRICS continue to gain momentum. You look at the recent SUA summit in China. Look at the number of countries that went. Look at their position. Look at what they said about the West. These guys are tired of the West dictating to them how they should live their life, how they should eat, how they should talk. I mean, people are just fed up with this whole Western control. Other countries want their whole freedom. Some continue to see India as a mole in BRICS. It's a fact. Sometimes when you look at India actions, you might think that the Indians would definitely give up BRICS. But it is in the best interest of India not to play any stupid games with BRICS, because they know what the West can do to them. What do you think about this relationship? Do you think the West will succeed in breaking them apart? Or do you think the West will fail? Let me know down in the comment section. Thank you very much for watching today's show. Thank you very much for supporting us. We've been able to hit 2K subscribers under 3 weeks. Within the space of 3 weeks, over 2K subscribers. And I want to say a big thanks to all of you. It is almost impossible to achieve this on YouTube here. Ask any YouTuber and they'll tell you that this is massive. It is almost impossible to achieve. But with your support and help, we've been able to achieve this. Shalom. See you guys in the next episode.